Hello, Art on Twist, and welcome back to Raw Recap and Review. This is the April 13th, 2026 episode from Sacramento, California. And if you enjoy WWE content like this, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. If you enjoy WWE 2K26 content, I also have this on the channel. We just finished the CM Punk showcase, and now we'll be playing the My Rise coming up soon. And this is the last Raw before WrestleMania. So let's get straight to it. Raw really opened up with a political campaign vid from Roman Reigns, basically calling CM Punk a hypocrite. He shows examples of Roman shows proof of that with because they showed an old promo of Punk saying he doesn't need help. He shows that he made the Shield and that he used them to get help and wins. And then he says he doesn't need wise men or yes men. He shows him hanging out with Paul Heyman and having a straight edge society. And they go to say he's not, and they show the video of him saying, I'm not here for friends, I'm here to make money. And then it shows on a whole bunch of photos of him with friends and everything. And he says, at the end of the night, I'm going to give Punk a chance to actually tell the truth. But then we get to the ring, and it's Adam Pearce and it's Triple H in the ring, and they're doing the contract signing, and they've decided that they're going to do the signing individually because Oba and Brock Lesnar are tweaking. So Paul Heyman comes out, he says, this is the best idea Pearce has ever made because no one should want to be this close to the beast, Brock Lesnar. Brock pop out, do this little hopping, man. He get down to the ring, he does a little emote, after he signs the contract and everything. Then Heyman starts to talk a little bit more. Brock take the mic, he say, man, after this weekend, y'all ain't gonna know his name no more. And Heyman says, he finishes off with saying, this is the real main event, and that Brock's gonna take the dub. And that moves on to another vignette. I get it, it's the last Raw before WrestleMania, but man, where's the graps already? But we get a vignette with the Vision and Speed. Speed is very demotivated. He's not feeling it. He's unsure about it. But the Vision like, hey man, the Usos want to whoop you. LA Knight want to whoop you. Everybody hates you. You got to lock in. So they then go home on a training montage with Speed. And then by the end of it, Speed is motivated and ready for WrestleMania. Then we get into our first match of the night. Is between Charlotte Flair versus Lyra Valkyria, and they both have their managers, they both have their partners with them, Alexa Bliss with Charlotte and Bayley with Lyra. We get into that match off starting with a tie-up, which leads to Lyra getting wrestling takedowns on Charlotte, but Charlotte flips over and finds a way to get a leg choke on the Lyra, but Lyra handstands out of it, and Charlotte does a kip up. Now leads to Charlotte grabbing a waist lock on the Lyra, slamming her down on the ground, and then hitting the ropes, hitting Lyra with a shoulder tackle, and then proceeding to step over Lyra. But Lyra ain't going for that. She instantly get up, start mushing on Charlotte, flays back and forth. At least the Charlotte getting the woo chops going on into but then Lyra does a crossbody onto her and then hits her with a heel kick, goes for the pin, and gets a kick out though. She begins to Irish whip Charlotte into the corner. That leads to Charlotte doing the flip over Charlotte, but Charlotte gets right back and hits a kick on the Lyra in the corner. Then Lyra Irish whips Charlotte near the other corner, but Charlotte goes over to the apron. She tries to boot Lyra, but Lyra catches her and then leg sweeps her down to the ground. That leads to her doing the big suicide leg drop, big suicide drop kick down to Charlotte on the outside. Then she gets on the rope, tries to go for a crossbody, but Charlotte gets out the way, and that leads to Charlotte hitting her with a big boot. And then we get to a commercial break. Get back from the commercial break with Charlotte trying to land a moonsault, but Lyra grabs her leg and pulls her right back down. And then that leads to her going to the top rope herself and landing a top rope leg drop. Goes for the pin. 1, 2. Kick out from Charlotte though. Lyra is trying to do a middle rope moonsault on the Charlotte, but Charlotte puts her knees up. That leads to her trying to get the figure 8 in, but Lyra grabs her, puts her into a cradle pin. 1, 2, another kick out from Charlotte. That leads to Lyra then hitting the enziguri on the Charlotte. She ends up hitting the rope, but ends a big boot onto Lyra, and then goes to the top rope, goes for a moonsault. 1, 2, Lyra kicks out of it. She's still in the match. That leads to Charlotte trying to go for natural selection, but that gets reversed by Lyra into a pin. Another kick out from Charlotte, and then Lyra ends up punching her back and forth, kicking her, and then that leads to Charlotte fighting back, hitting a big woo chop on the Lyra. but Lyra gets the comeback, hitting a big fisherman suplex on the Charlotte. Look nasty, goes for the pin, but another kick out from Charlotte. This time Lyra tries to go for Nightwing. Charlotte elbows her way out of it and then grabs her Lyra and throws her to the outside where Bayley is. That leads to her then throwing Lyra back into the ring, tries to go for the O'Connor roll, which is basically a roll up but in reverse. But as she's doing it, she's close to the rope. That leads to Bayley flicking Charlotte's leg, which leads to Lyra getting the roll up. 1, 2, 3. Big dub for Lyra. Got a lot of momentum going to WrestleMania. I give that match a good 3.5 star match. A good back and forth between these women. You know what I'm saying? You can see they loading up to get something crazy going on in WrestleMania. But then right after that match, though, I would add they have a good pushing, shoving contest at the end. But overall, I can't wait to see these women fight at WrestleMania. And I hope the Bella Twins will be there. You know, Nikki Bella hurt her ankle, so I hope she's gonna be good enough in time. Man, tape that thing up, man. We got to fight at WrestleMania. After that match, we get a segment of the Usos and LA Knight. They up there talking about Speed's vignette, and that leads to Solo Sikoa and the MFTs to pull up. If you don't know, Solo Sikoa is the Usos' younger brother, and the MFTs are basically his bloodline. And that's on SmackDown. If you want to check out, you know, maybe if these pop up, I can start doing some SmackDown reviews, man. You know, maybe we'll get into that later, though. But Solo says to his brothers, the Usos, that they keep making the family look bad. And then LA Knight goes on to interject for them. Says, you know, Adam Pearce was talking about how we going to get the Usos on TV and LA Knight on TV. Maybe we can get a little practice in for WrestleMania and get a little 3-man tag going in. And they do end up having a match later on the night. But then we get more talking because this is the Raw before this is the last Raw of WrestleMania. We get Stephanie Vaquer going in for an interview. And Kathy Kelly is in the ring with her. She's asking her question, and out of nowhere, boom! Liv Morgan, big elbow to Stephanie, knock her right into Kathy. I'm like, damn, what Kathy do? And then she goes on, fight her down, and that leads to Stephanie getting out the ring, and that leads to Liv to hit her with her. She says, you know, I knew your mother was trash, but I didn't know she raised a little bitch. And I was like, ooh. Security and the producers came in, they separated them, and that leads to Stephanie going, I ain't waiting for WrestleMania. She said it in Spanish. Runs to the ring. Boom, 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 boom. Going back and forth, back and forth. Them women fighting back and forth. They get pulled away, though, by the rest of the producers. And Liv looked crazy when she yelling at Stephanie being pulled out the other way. I'm like, she looked wild. And she just also dropped a new song. So shout out to Liv. Then after that talking segment, we get another talking segment. With backstage, we get Io Sky being interviewed after her loss to Jade Cargill on SmackDown. And Jackie says, you know, after that match, do you have anything to say? So Io saying that she doesn't regret doing that match because she wanted to fight for her friend Rhea. And at least Asuka going, you know, Rhea is not your family. And that last year, you know, you was the big champ. But now this year, you just Rhea's sidekick. You ain't doing nothing at WrestleMania. By the way, Asuka's also not doing anything at WrestleMania. They could be having a match, but as of right now, ain't nobody in this segment right now going to WrestleMania, so it's funny. But then that leads to Io going to Kyrie like, you don't gotta listen to all this, you don't gotta deal with all this. And then Asuka says, she's loyal to me, and the way she's gonna show that is by fighting you tonight. And she's like, right? And Kyrie's like, yeah, right. So then they're gonna have a match later on tonight, and that's gonna be in part 2. So make sure to watch part 2 of these Raw Recap reviews. Let's move on to the 2. Match of the night I'm playing. Second match of the night, we get the Usos with LA Knight, versus the MFTs, Solo Sikoa with JC Mateo and Tonga Loa. And they also have Tala Tonga with them, but missing is another member who is Tama Tonga, who's been having beef with the MFTs on SmackDown. But, you know, we can get into that, you know, if we get these videos and maybe do some SmackDown reviews. I don't know, man. Also, they fixed the Usos theme music by just keeping it the same and basically just saying it's just us Us. Like, they could have did that this whole time. Like, yeah, that whole new theme was kind of, it was iffy, you know, but they got it fixed right now. We get into the match started with JC Mateo and Jimmy Uso. Mateo instantly punches on Jimmy and then Irish whips into the corner, but Jimmy jumps over the corner, jumps over when Mateo tries to run through, that leads him to getting a kick and a punch onto Mateo. Then he ends up tagging in Jay. He holds down Mateo so Jay can get the assisted corner punch onto Mateo. That leads to him then clotheslining Mateo outside the ring, and then he goes for the Undertaker dive. With Jimmy holding the rope down, and that leads on to a commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with Solo Sikoa in the match now. He's having the upper hand on Jay, having a neck hold on that man. That leads to Jay fighting out of it, getting some big punches on the Solo, but Solo stops it all with a big elbow. And with that, he ends up punching Jimmy, who's on the apron. That leads to LA Knight trying to get into the ring. He has to make fun of him. Then he gets right back to fighting and Jay. Jay tries to kick him in the stomach, but Solo grabs it. That leads into a enziguri, leads into a double down, which leads to them both getting into the, you know what I'm going to talk about, the hot tag. LA Knight tags in, Tonga Loa tags in, but when the tags happen, Mateo gets into the ring as well, but LA hits him with a clothesline, and Tonga tries to hit a punch on LA Knight. He misses. That leads to him getting hit with a big slam, which leads to LA then throwing Mateo to the outside, but then Tonga Loa tries to take advantage, tries to do a back suplex onto LA Knight, but he reverses it into a big neck breaker. Then he go over to the top rope, hit the LA Knight, yeah, elbow on that man. He goes for the pin. 1, 2. Mateo ain't playing. He does a big splash on the LA. Then at least the Jimmy get into the ring, hitting that man with a big super kick. Then at least the Solo hitting a big spike on the Jim. That leads to then Jay get into the ring, and then Solo tries to attack him, but he pulls the rope down so Solo can fall out to the outside. At least Jay trying to get really oozy on him. Tries to go for the suicide dive on his brother on the outside, but Solo catches him and then throws him over to the announce table. But that leads into the missing member of the MFTs to pop out where the ring announce area is, and that leads to Solo and Tala Tonga to be distracted. Like, hey, where you been at? Where you win? And also Tonga Loa in the ring was not paying attention. He was looking at that too. At least the LA Knight out of nowhere popping up. BFT on that man. 1, 2, 3. Usos. LA Knight get the dub. Pretty short matches, you know. I don't get to see everything because I'm in America and we get ads, but everyone else doesn't. Overall, I probably give that match a good 3-star. Entertaining, good back and forth. You know, just not long enough, not enough false finishes and everything that to make it build an anticipation. But I'm really excited to see what the Usos and LA Knight have in store against Division and Speed. That's going to be a really interesting match. That is going to be the end of part 1. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can get more raw recap and reviews. And also so you can see WWE 2K26 content. We just finished up the CM Punk showcase on the channel. And after WrestleMania, we'll be getting the My Rise content getting up on the channel as well. Also, if you want to hear me talk about the big encounter between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, you're going to have to watch part 2. So go ahead, click up there, watch part 2, or click one of these things right there to watch part 2. So why are you just still saying it, man? Watch part 2.